Recording. Thanks. All right. Hey everyone, happy Wednesday night. It's good to see your faces. Okay, we have a special guest speaker for this call, but before we get started, does anybody have any recognition week? I will open it up to you guys. I have to play with my cat while I'm doing this so she doesn't go crazy on me. Danielle wants to shout out Allie for Success Club. I know there's got to be more recognition out there, guys. Maybe when people watch the recording, we'll shout them out in the group chat. All right, cool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker. I know Jess is super bummed that she couldn't be on this call because this is actually someone that Jess knows, but Paulette, we're super excited that you're here and very thankful for you being on this call tonight. So Jess and Paulette actually met at an in-person Super Saturday event in Houston. I think Jess said it was almost like 3 years ago now, which is crazy. And ever since then, they have been success partners, which if you don't know what a success partner is, it's someone that you kind of like link arms with and kind of check in with for accountability, someone who's not in your direct team. And Paulette, I'm told, has always been that rock star coach that everyone loves to work with and wants to work with. She's super knowledgeable and experienced, especially in building a team. So that's what she's going to talk to us about tonight. And Paulette, if you want to do your own sort of introducing yourself personally, that's all I got on your background with your connection to Jess. But sure. Thanks so much for being here, and we're excited to hear from you tonight.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to be here too, and I hope that I can leave you guys with some nuggets of information that you can like take off and run with, because I really think those are the best kind of calls, is like inspiration, but also like give me things that I can do right now that I can do today to improve your business, right? Because this is what we're all about. One thing I love about coaching is how much support you can get from women who are just doing the same thing that you're doing. It's not a competition. It's like, how can we build each other up? And that's exactly what Jess and I have been able to do with our friendship. That you were right. We met like Super Saturday. It was my very first Super Saturday. I don't know if that was first Super Saturday event, but we had a little icebreaker activity. Her and I partner up. We found out that we had some things in common, like I'm from Colombia and she's half Colombian. And I was like, oh, cool. Like started talking and exchanged phone numbers and immediately like connected and continue to work together as success partners. So we share a lot of what's working in our businesses. And, you know, we're always talking strategies, and she has so much value to add. You guys are very lucky to have her as your coach, whoever has her as your coach. And she's super organized, and we balance each other in a really good way, because the things that I'm really like, I feel like I suck at, she's so good at. So she's super helpful. She's also been a speaker on my team call. So you guys are definitely lucky to have her. She's an amazing coach. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and I'll share briefly like my coach background, I guess, and how I found coaching, because I really think that's also one of the things I love, like about national wake up calls. When I listen to them, it's like, ooh, that's something I have in common with that person, because it lets me know, like, if they can do it, I can do it, right? So for me, coaching was probably the farthest thing I ever thought I would do. I was like that person who hated fitness, who hated going to the gym, who hated working out. My husband, on the other hand, is like super athletic, runner, like always into fitness, and him and I literally would get into fights over fitness because I always had the excuse. I was the girl with the book of excuses of why I could not work out, and that created a lot of conflict in our relationship before we even had kids. And I was an educator, so I was a teacher for many years, and I actually became an assistant principal at the same school where I taught for like all this years. So it was like my dream job to become an admin, and I did. And I only got to do that for a year because I found out I was pregnant, which, you know, we were planning on having kids, but it was kind of a surprise. So I definitely wanted to work on my job for longer. But I ended up quitting my job because I realized that I was not ready to do daycare for my kid. And I took a year off. And during that year off, I realized how broken I was in so many different ways. Emotionally, I was struggling with postpartum depression. I was struggling with an eating disorder. I was not working out. I was like the definition of Netflix and chill. So I literally felt like I needed to do something different, because now I had a little human in my life who was going to look up to me. And I was not going to be a really good role model for her if I continue on that path. And that's when coaching kind of like landed on my lap, like randomly. Found somebody on Facebook that I guess I was friends with, but I never actually seen anything of. And that's my coach. And I just connected with her over just seeing post after post, and just feeling like, wow, this girl, like, is somebody that I could really relate to. She was a mom like me and had a struggle with anxiety and depression. And she found this awesome lifestyle. And I just felt so like inspired by her story. I reached out to her. She was having a sneak peek into coaching, and I joined sneak peek into coaching. And I joined as a coach, not because I ever thought I could actually inspire or help other people or turn this into a business, but truly because I needed extra accountability because of what I told you before. I was so inconsistent when it came to fitness. And here I am, almost 4 years later. I never went back to my AP job, even though the plan was to take a year off. I found out that this made me a lot happier, and there was a lot more potential in it. And it was going to allow me to be a stay-at-home mom, which ultimately was, I guess, a goal of mine that I never thought I wanted to do. But I realized it was my calling to not go back to work and to really stay home with my kids. So that's pretty much it. That's where I'm at today. With coaching, and I absolutely love it. And it's the best decision I've ever made. So no matter how you guys found coaching, I just trust in that things happen for a reason. And for me, I really truly feel like this was like divine intervention. So moving on to our topic for today, I'm going to talk to you guys about building a team and how you find your people, like your person. Who you are is really who you want to attract, right? So for me, it really starts with and this is from like an exercise and activity. I don't know where I heard about this, but it was a long time ago. But basically, like, think of yourself as a flower. Your name is in the middle of that flower, and 5 petals, right? So each petal is an area that you want to represent, both on your page and on your stories. And it's basically who are you as a person? What defines you? When people think of you, what do you want them to think of? Right. So then for me, I'm a mom. So that's a big part of what I share about in my stories and on my page. Nutrition and everything that we do through Beachbody, it's one area, but again, that's just one area. I am a coffee lover, so people will see those kind of things on my stories. I love traveling, so I'll talk about that. I do flashback Fridays. I do things like that because now I can't travel as much, obviously, because of COVID, but I'll bring in some of my past traveling, pictures, and share things like that. So I want you guys, if you haven't done anything like this before, maybe you have already, do that activity. It's so simple. It's literally just do a flower, draw a flower, put your name in the middle, and create 5 areas. And those are the areas that you want to talk about, right? So you may not be a mom. So for Jess, I know she's a dog mom, right? So she's constantly sharing pictures of her dogs. Are you a plant lady? Are you into crafting? Are you a teacher, perhaps? So think about all the different things that define who you are, and make that part of what you share throughout all areas. So when you go to I'm sure you guys know the Success Club Tracker, right? And it always talks about doing a post that talks about a social media post that showcases the benefits of your healthy lifestyle. I will be honest with you, not every single post that I put is for that. And the reason why is because, again, I want to show people who I truly am, and I don't want to bore them with just fitness, just nutrition, right? Because they're going to be like, okay, this is overdone. And for me, it would be boring too, to be honest. So I have to make sure that when people go to my page, and I just want to quickly pull it up so that you guys see they're going to see a little bit of everything, right? So they're going to see, you know, friendships, they're going to see transformation. So there's fitness, there's some nutrition, you know, there's my baby, you know, I always have stuff with my daughters, relationships. So, you know, traveling. So I definitely want to show people when they first land on my page, who Paulette is in a nutshell. Okay. And that shouldn't be a whole bunch of fitness. That's just what's worked for me. So I suggest that you guys, you know, like find what works for you, but just know that that's kind of like how I found that to be like a sweet spot. And the same thing you'll see throughout my stories. So I will constantly be sharing about the mom life, how tired I am, energize, and, you know, like how that helps me with showing up to my workouts. I'm super consistent, of course, showing, you know, my workouts and all of that. But the same things I see on my page, they replicate throughout my stories. Okay. And I share authentically. I just, you know, be as honest as you can be. Don't just share the pretty, the highlight reel, like really be vulnerable and honest. I've talked about my eating disorder. I've talked about losing family members over the last few months. I lost 3 family members, which is crazy. COVID and all of that on top of that. You know, I share how I struggle with postpartum depression. I share how I struggle, you know, with all the things that are hard, because that's where you're going to find your true, like team. My teammates, my coaches on my team are moms. They've struggled with eating disorders. Many of them, they struggle with anxiety or depression. And so I want you guys to know that most people are not going to join you because of the pretty and the good things. They're most likely going to follow you and join you because of your struggles. So be sure to be sharing that part. That's super key. I have some notes, because if I don't write my notes, I probably go all over the place. But anyway, so cover the first part about the flower, sharing authentically. And then how do I find my people then? So because I told you guys before, I love coffee. So I love going to little coffee shops. I used to go a lot more before COVID, but I still find my way, you know, once a week to go get coffee. And so what I do, my favorite way of finding my people is truly locally. I found that hashtags are not necessarily where I find most of my people. I find that hashtags gives me a really broad group of people when I really don't want that. So what I found to be most helpful is actually go to the locations that I visit. So the restaurants where I like to eat, the coffee shops that I frequent. And because I am Hispanic living in Houston, I found pages like there's one in particular, it's Houston Latina bloggers. So I'll go to that page because I know for a fact that I'm going to find girls in there. It's all women. They're Latinas, so they're like me, and they live in Houston, right? So I want to narrow it down to find the closest people to me. So because I was a teacher, maybe looking for pages on Instagram that are like Hispanic teachers or teachers Latinas, or something that speaks to who I am or who I was. Okay. So locations and things that represent me. Okay, but pages, not hashtags. So then what I do is once I'm in those pages, I go to their followers, like who's following that page, and I just click on followers. And once all of that huge list comes up, right? So like one of the coffee shops near my house has like 5,000 followers. I know for a fact a lot of those followers are going to be people in probably my neighborhood. So I go through and I find people just by looking at the pictures. I do not spend time going through each person's like profile. I just literally add friend request or follow. Sorry, I'm thinking of Facebook. This is on Instagram mostly because that's where I work my business mostly now. I do some of Facebook, but not as much. And Instagram really is where it's at for me now. So that's where I focus a lot of my energy. And because it doesn't have that 5,000 limit. I love that. So anyways, I follow those people. And when those people follow me back, the first thing I do is I send them a message. And that message is typically a voice message because it's more personal than a text, right? So in that voice message is going to be very simple. And what I say is, hey girl, thank you so much for following my page. I really hope you can find some inspiration, motivation, and helpful tips on my stories and just on my feed. And the reason why I do that is because even if they were just following to follow back because whatever, they just like my page or they just want to follow back, me saying that, number one, I make myself already very personal to them because I'm a voice in their inbox, number one. Number two, I am telling them I can provide and add value to their lives by adding, when I mention, I hope you can find inspiration, motivation, and tips on my story. So what I notice is that those people are immediately, not all, but they'll end up in my page, liking my pictures and on my stories, right? Just because of that message I sent. So that's the first step. Then one of my favorite ways to connect with them, like once they become my followers, I make a point of doing almost daily a call to action that is not related to coaching or fitness. So for example, I need to do my nails. Like I have to paint my nails, right? I select 2 colors of nail polish that I have at home and I have my people vote on them. I get tons of engagement with those kind of polls, which are not related to fitness. So should I buy this pair of shoes or this, right? A or B, right? So whenever I have stuff like that, I get a lot of my followers or people that are checking my stories engaging with those. So what I like to do after that is message everybody. So I have 2 options, right? A or B is typically how I do it. So I respond to all the people that, responded A. It's the same message. I'm not typing 50 messages. I'm literally just like type it to the first person, copy that message and paste it and respond to everybody. But that allows me to interact with a lot of people that have never liked my pictures before, that I've never talked to, because people love to give you their opinions and their 2 cents about things like that, right? And even if I already made up my mind, most of the time I already know what I'm doing. I just want to create engagement on my page and on my stories. So that allows me to start conversations because I may add something like, hey girl, thanks for your vote. I definitely love that color. Do you usually go get your nails done or do you do it at home? See, I'm opening it up to a farther conversation, not related to fitness. And then we just go back and forth. And that's how that's how I create like conversations with people who I literally become like almost like friends. It feels, because after talking to them for so long, it almost feels like we're friends. And I don't know if you guys experienced some of this already or how long you've been coaching, but if you talk to these people long enough, like we'll start sending each other voice messages and it's like other things like mom stuff. I have people asking me like, where do you buy this for your daughter? So I'll literally just respond with a voice message. So it's like talking to a friend. And the good thing about it is that when you do that, you're creating, you're softening things up and you're really making yourself like real to them so that when it's time to invite to a new group, to a challenge group, you're going to send that invite message. It's not going to feel nearly as weird. Okay. Because you've already been talking to them. Some people I've talked to for a month before I even invite, right? It's just whenever it feels right, I send the invite message. But that's one thing I definitely like to do is create the connection and the conversations before I go ahead and invite. Because then you might find people who get weirded out by that, like, oh, we just became friends and all of a sudden the first thing I see is a message from you asking me to join your group. Like, what is this, right? Who are you? So I notice that kind of turns people off. And that's really it, you guys. Like, that is my method. That is what I've been doing for a year and a half or so. I've used to do like much bigger pages that were not getting me followers. But once I narrow down, like once I like focus on what is it that I like and who am I as a person, I've been able to find my people, and those people follow back because when they see my page, they can immediately see something in those pictures that is going to be like, oh, I could be friends with that girl because she's a mom. Remember, that's why I want to make sure my pictures reflect who I am, because they may not go to my stories to figure out who I am, right? They might just read the description, but the pictures is what pops up when they go to my page, is that those 9, the frame, right? The nine pictures. So you want to make sure that you're constantly planning your post accordingly. So I make sure that every week on my post, I'm going to include something that is fitness related, nutrition, because I want to add value to people, right? I always love seeing recipes on other people's pages. So I like to do that because I know it adds value. Mom life, like, again, who you are should be reflected there, because that's going to get you either a follower or somebody to walk away from your page. So you want to create that instant connection through that. There's something else. Oh, when you're following people, like when you're going to those pages, if you find like those pictures of like the people that you want to follow, right? And they happen to have the ring, meaning they have stories, I do go and engage with them and then follow, because that's it's just a higher percentage of them following me back if I'm engaging with their stories. So I go and watch their stories and I actually react to them with the emojis, or I may comment, like just drop a comment on them, right? Especially try to find like recently there was a business that opened here in the area and they got a whole bunch of followers. I went on their page and I literally watched their stories, and everyone they tagged on those stories, I went to their pages, and I specifically went to their pages because I knew they were being featured on this business page, right? So I know for a fact they were there at that business. So I was able to comment on like, oh my gosh, I got that same, it was like a juice place, like a juicing place. Oh my gosh, I got that same juice. I tried that out. I loved it. I got that acai bowl. Wasn't it amazing? So I was engaging on things. So they're going back to my page like, oh, this girl is local. Like she was just there too, right? So try to do, again, find like the places and the things that you do that will get you connected to the people that are your avatar, your ideal avatar, the people that are going to basically be your yous, right? Like your mini you. That's what I like to think of, like people that are going to look like you. My coach said this once and she couldn't be more accurate. She's like, when I look at my team, it's like looking at a reflection of who I am. And that's true for my team now. When I look at my team, a lot of my girls just look like me. Their mom, a lot of them are Hispanic, a lot of them have dark hair, long hair, curly hair. Like it's just funny how it happens, but it's because you attract who you are and what you put out there. And not that all of them are, but the majority are. So let me see, how are we doing with time? We're good. Okay. So that's basically what I had for you guys. Do you guys have questions? Anything you want to specifically ask me about?
Yeah, I was going to ask Paulette, when you are doing your invites, do you typically like invite to coaching right off the bat, or invite to like a coaching sneak peek, like find out more about coaching? Or would you say that you connect with people to be challengers first and then like they kind of naturally learn more about coaching?
That's a great question. I feel like I do half and half. So I invite, when is the beginning of the month, like end of a month, beginning of a month, I'm heavily inviting to my challenge groups, just naturally because, it's that time, right? But anytime I see an opportunity to invite someone to coaching, I do. And this is one thing that I was afraid of doing because I felt like it was going to come across like too aggressive. And I definitely was walking away from people that I felt had their stuff figured out already. So if I saw people that were at the gym who were already like trainers, who look like they already got it all, they don't need me, I would walk away. And right now, that has changed. That mentality of like, oh, they got it all figured out has changed, because I've heard story after story of personal trainers turn beach body coaches because of the opportunity within our business, right? To travel, to do all these other things that they don't do. Helping so many more people, because you don't need to be doing one-on-one coaching. Like you can literally help so many more, and their income obviously is better. So now when I see people who are doing fitness related stuff or look like they got it all figured out, guess what? They're getting an invite for coaching, because I know they already have a lifestyle that is aligned to what we do as coaches. So my invites are probably, like I heavily invite to coaching now. And it's probably a 50-50 split. I definitely invite people from my challenge groups who are already seeing success. I definitely invite them to coaching. And sometimes it may just be like, hey, do you want to learn more about coaching? Like you're doing awesome. You're seeing results. You're super consistent. And I tell them why they would be good at coaching. And it may be something like, sure, tell me more. And I share like a clip that we have. It's like a 10-minute clip that my team put together. And it's basically, like a sneak peek into coaching, but in a 10-minute video. And I shared that with them. And then I set up like a one-on-one after that to answer any questions. And after that, they typically either sign up or they need more time, and that's okay. I've already planted that seed, right? So I recruit for my challengers for sure. A lot of them are also just people who want the discount. So if I notice they keep ordering Shakeology, I just reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to save money on that? Because I can totally, get you the coach discount option. So again, that's coaches that are discount coaches. But because they're discounted coaches, I add them to my team page just so that they can see the different things that we do within coaching, which is a nice way to kind of be like, here, you can be part of this community, or hey, you can earn this prize, or hey, what about a trip, right? Like they get to see the other side that they don't see in the challenge, that kind of like it's an instant like, maybe I could do this as a coach, right? So my discount customers get added to my team page to kind of get a sneak peek into coaching without calling it a sneak peek into coaching. But if I'm about to do a sneak peek into coaching, then I'll invite to that, whether it's a Zoom call or something I'm doing live on Facebook group or something like that. So I'd say probably 50-50, but for sure, do not disregard anyone. When you see someone that you think you could connect with, and they would be an amazing coach, and they're doing already something in that field, just use that for your advantage. I actually just signed up one of my newest coaches. She's from California. I went on her page. She had a picture of like certificate, like that she had been certified as a personal trainer, which before, again, I would have been like, nope, walk away. She's already got it all. And I liked some of her pictures. She was a follower on my page. She wasn't even liking, watching, none of that on my page, like engagement, 0. But I was like, let me send her a message. And I sent her a voice message, and I told her she would be amazing because what she does, we do as coaches, as virtual coaches. She never heard about it, but after she watched the clip, she's like, yeah, I would love to. And she signed up as a coach. So you just never know. I don't walk away from anybody that looks like they got their shit together.
That's awesome. I love that. I also think it's a really good reminder that there are so many people out there that can relate to you, and like people who are similar to you that you just haven't found yet, like they're out there.
Yep, definitely. And in talking with them, you make those connections like quickly, like, oh, that's so cool. Like I've been there, like where she lived in California, I've been there. So we started to create more of that friendship now because we've been doing one-on-one calls. So yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are lots of people out there who would be like your best friends. Now you can be best friends with a lot of people because of social media.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any more questions for Paulette? Those great tips. I wrote some stuff down. I'm excited to use this momentum after this call to get some invites out.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I know there are a lot of trainings out there, and I know everybody does, what works for them. Like I said at the beginning, I used to do what worked for my coach, and what worked for my coach wasn't working for me. And I just felt like, oh, if I just keep doing it, maybe I'll see results. And the truth is that my coach is at a different place. She's been a top 10 coach in the company twice. So she's pretty high up there. So she has a huge following. Of course, when she goes to hashtags and they go back to her page, they follow her like immediately because she's got a huge following. I am not there, right? So I had to figure out what would work for me, and my following is much smaller. So I'm starting with building small where I'm at locally, and that actually adds value too, because when we had events, when we had those Super Saturdays, my coaches would come to my events, and that was cool that I got to actually meet and hang out with them. Where if I was building a team that was only like all over the US, then that would be a little bit different. So you just got to find what works for you.
That's great. Such a good reminder. All right. Well, if nobody has any more questions, we'll keep it short and sweet tonight. Going once.
And if there are any questions that come up later, definitely feel free to.
Yeah. That's a good question for you, Paulette. Where can we find you on Instagram?
I'll share with you guys. Do you want me to like just give you like my handle now, or
Yeah.
do you want me to send it to Jess? Whatever works best.
Give us your handle and I can put it in the chat.
Okay, it's like call me Katica, and it's Katica.
Got it.
It's backwards probably for you guys, right?
I got it though.
Yeah.
Cool. That way we can keep up with your journey, follow along. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today, Paulette.
No problem. I'm glad that I could help out, and
Yeah,
thank
we
you
appreciate
for
it.
having me, and you guys have an amazing night.
Sounds good. You too. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care. Bye.